So I've already started tearing into the tractor a little bit. I printed this off for one of the codes last night. I have the complete service manual on my computer for this tractor. Pretty good about, you can look up the code and they give you some possible solutions for it. And they gave me 2 connectors to look at. I looked at them, I didn't see anything wrong. I have to ohm them out, but I gotta have 2 people to do it because they're too far apart from one another. One's on the back of the tractor, one's up here on the front. But I have a lot of codes, and a lot of codes that don't coincide with one another, which tells me one of 2 things. Either we've got a broken wire or a bad ground, because it's very unlikely that I would have a transmission fault at the identical same time that I have an SCR fault, which is the DEF system. At the very same time, I have a engine fault. Something in the data, that what they call a CAN bus line, has got to be getting corrupted, and that typically means a bad ground. Typically, one of the main ground points for the CAN bus system is back here in the back of the tractor. That's why I have this on here. I already took the ground loose, and we're going to clean it up. This is the ground hanging, and we're going to clean that up and retighten it. And I'm going to go back into the schematics for the tractor and find out where the other grounds are. Because what happens is the CAN bus system utilizes 4 wires. Communication high, communication low, then DC power, which is 13.8 volt, and then ground. Well, what happens is your high voltage and low voltage, they have to be a certain amount of voltage apart from another. And I'm just going to use, I'm not 100% certain, I'm just going to use numbers. Let's say the high needs to be 5 volt, the low needs to be 1 volt. Okay, so there has to be 4 volts of separation to have a clean communication line. Well, if your ground comes loose, now you've lost your reference to ground, which means the 5 volt and 1 volt can now float. Their reference can change. It could go all the way up to 8, 9 volts, or could drop down to 0. There's no reference to earth ground, and you always have to have a reference to earth ground, or chassis ground in this case, when dealing with electricity. If you don't, then your voltage can just float around and it has nothing to reference. So that's what I think our problem is. This is where me doing what I do for a living has really paid off, because these tractors have just an absolute abundance of wiring on them now. I mean, they are just giant computers on wheels. To give you an idea, I mean, here, we'll show you, here's just some of the harnesses. Here's one. I doubt I can get to it to show you. Underneath the cab, in here, there's a bunch of hoses, but also a bunch of harnesses. Show you here in the back of the cab. Well, it fell down. Here, hold on. So here is, I'm assuming this is the tractor control unit. It's labeled UCM, Universal Control, but I can't find a TCU. The service manual says TCU. I'm assuming that that is the TCU. Probably just an early generation of it. But anyway, look at all the harnesses in here. And they all of this flows up underneath the seat to a master fuse and relay panel that's underneath the seat inside the tractor. But wait, there's more. Oh, there's a lot more. I'm just showing you the big areas. Then you have all of this harnessing back here that runs between the engine and the cab, and that ultimately flows down under the cab and then goes to the back of the tractor where you just saw. The engine, surprisingly, does not have a humongous amount of harnesses crawling all over it. I've seen some engines, you can't even see the engine for the harnesses. This isn't too bad. We've got one harness here, which is actually just a main power line. Main power bus comes right off of here and then heads up front to distribute DC power to the accessories up front. All of that is fused. And then you've got the big harness up on top there that runs back over the motor and down. But that's the harness that we just showed you on the other side of the tractor that comes down to the engine control unit, the engine computer, which is what we tuned here. This is when we did the horsepower tune to the tractor, this is where that software was written, right here. Now, I know what somebody's thinking. You know, your tractor was running fine until you programmed it. Well, the tractor ran fine for about 15 hours after we programmed it, and then we started having all these issues. However, that would not affect the SCR, the transmission, the air conditioner. That's not going to affect those things, and I have codes for all of that. So that is not my concern. Just to eliminate it, I did put the original tractor file back in there, but it didn't make a difference. I think our issue is a chafed wire, open ground somewhere, or just a bad ground. But I'm gonna keep digging into this and keep you guys updated. I'm waiting on my computer to finish loading all the software on it for the service manual so I can start going through all of the codes and seeing if every single code has a common denominator. Yes, it sucks. I'm not in the field doing what I need to be doing. It has been kind of spitting rain off and on today, so, and it's been cold at night. We are really, really cold for being the middle part of May. I mean, I'm actually kind of chilly standing here. It's like 52 degrees outside. The nights are getting down into the 40s. The corn we have planted is germinating and coming up fine, but I'm not in any rush, so I'm okay. We'll go, we're just gonna continue into this and I'll let you know what I find. There's our engine fault, SCR failure. So that didn't do it. Oh, let's see what else we can dig into here. We got something still messed up. Yeah, SCR failure should not be there though. That's actually the first time I've seen that. So whatever I've tussled, it has created a bigger problem, which now tells me that we likely have a chafed wire. Here's what I want to do. I want to go into our fault codes and we can see what the fault codes are. Well, that's interesting. Something I have touched has made our problem worse, because before, when I turned the key on, I could get in and see the codes. It was just what I would call an attention code. Now, whenever I turn the key on, I can't even get to the codes because right away it comes up SCR failure, stop engine, stop engine. SCR is the DEF system. So something that I have jiggled or taken loose has made our problem worse, which is good and bad. Bad because I can't get in to see the codes. Good because I know, okay, we are looking at a potential chafed wire or faulty connector, broken wire in a connector, bad connection. That seems to be where we're heading. Now I just got to find out what or where, because I've touched so much stuff on this tractor already. There's like 3 main places that I've really jiggled stuff and moved stuff around. So I got to try to locate it. But in the meantime, I showed you the ground on the back. This is what the ground on the front, one of the main grounding areas on the front. And you see how rusty and corroded it is? All of that can create issues. So I'm going to clean all of these grounds up. I took them all loose. I'm going to clean them all up, reconnect them, check where we are. After seeing our issue get worse from me just jiggling something, I don't think ground is our issue, but it's certainly not helping that they're that dirty. So we're going to go ahead and clean them up and then dive back into wiring harnesses. Well, I got little man with me. Say hi, little man. Hi. Well, as you can see, we are not in the New Holland. The New Holland is still broke down, and we've got to have a technician come out with their laptop to reset it. Basically, there's certain things that the software in these tractors do that takes the farmer out of the equation, and we have to pay lots of money to have a technician come and hook up a laptop, hit a button, and reset things for us. I'm not going to dress it up. It's bullcrap, and there's no way around it. It's locked into their software. But luckily, I have a very good friend who has a very nice piece of equipment who let me borrow it so I could finish this 20 acres and get planted tomorrow. So what we're in is a Case International 325 Steiger. It's an articulating tractor, 4-wheel drive, and that implement behind us is a Case International 330 Turbotil. That was the other piece of equipment I was looking at when we bought the Landau, and I might have made a mistake, because I tell you, this thing's doing a beautiful job on the soil, and it's not near as heavy, so it's not leaving ruts behind itself. But anyway, we're grateful for him to let us use this. So Cliff, if you watch this, thank you. I can't say it enough, because we'll get this all planted tomorrow. A little bit over. Oh, too far away. Good job, buddy. Let's pull it back slowly. There you go. Whoop, too far, too far. All right, make your turn. Turn that way, that way. Turn. There you go. Whoop, not too tight. Okay, line up for your next pass. You see where it is, right? Okay. Okay, push your throttle back up. Good job. Sleep tight, horsey. Night, night.